how you determine whether there's reasonable evidence that the student is attending school elsewhere. Because what if you have people that came here, legally or not, from another country, were going to school and returned to their country of origin? There's no way that you can reasonably ascertain, and they may have entirely different laws or requirements in those countries.
Great question.
And I'm not wanting to use this as an excuse in any way, because we all benefit from educating all of our children here, and I think that's our responsibility. But at the same time, when you throw in the whole transiency issue and how you track that, it wouldn't be just Washoe County. I think it would maybe even be more onerous for Clark County, but certainly many counties throughout the United States, not just in particular states. This would be difficult, it seems to me.
Great question, and the Advocacy Committee debated those criteria, and interestingly enough, although they started out sort of hard line, coached by your staff who said, well, what about this, what about that, what about this? They ended up at exactly the same place that the state of Nevada currently is, because although the state doesn't use this formula, this issue of who is a legitimate transfer out arises in other calculations. And the criteria excuse me, that they used were a student would be counted as a transfer out if first there had been a records request. That's sort of obvious. Turns out there's lots of times you wouldn't expect a records request. You've described some of them. There's other ones too. So then they said, well, okay, so if there's no records request, what about there is a form that a parent can go to say to your school, and you say, I'm moving out of town. And in 2003, I believe the state, it's a state form, the state added a box that said, I'm moving out of town and I'm going to enroll my student at the school where we move, and if they check that box, that counts. That has been true for some time in Nevada, and the Advocacy Committee felt that was reasonable. And then the third is also what happens if a student, especially after the summer, a student hasn't come back, the staff at the schools try to contact them either through their home number, parents' work, or emergency contact. And if they reach an adult who says, yes, the family's moved to Guadalajara and we assume they're going to school there, then they get to count that as a reasonable evidence. Those are the three criteria. If you can't find anybody, we don't count them here, and you'll see them later. But you did not count them as a transfer out.
But, so they remain is in the denominator.
Yes, and you'll see that later.
That then counts against our graduation.
Yes. Okay, and then so now you've got the cohort of these students, and that's what separates this formula from the 5 we just saw on the chart. This is an actual student-by-student count. Of these students, we're going to look at the number who graduated with a standard advanced honors or adult diploma by August of 2006. Now, everybody in this room will immediately recognize there is a 5th legal graduate diploma in the state of Nevada called an adjusted diploma that is not included in this numerator. And the reason is that the federal government does not and has not for many years allowed adjusted diplomas to be counted, or other diplomas that do not meet the minimum requirements of the state's lowest level regular diploma. This is not just aimed at Nevada. Contrary to popular myth, especially in education circles, there is no federal requirement under IDEA to give an adjusted diploma, and only about 17 or 18 states do that. And so, for consistency, the feds have not allowed an adjusted diploma to be counted here as a graduate. So that is the formula of the National Governors Association, with the detail added by Ed Collaborative. And then Jan went out and did her heroic efforts to try to put all the kids in the proper buckets to answer that question. And so when you calculate this formula for Washoe County School District, you see the number shown here at the bottom in yellow, shown as a different color because it is the only student-by-student count, and it is the national governor's, we're calling it EC for Ed Collaborative, National Governor, NGA cohort rate of 56%. And let's be real clear on exactly what that means. Out of the freshman cohort of 2002-2003, defined as all students who were first-time freshmen enrolled and present for at least one day in the 2002-2003 school year in Washoe County School District, plus students who transferred in over the next 3 years, minus students who were legitimate transfers out over the 4 years. 56% graduated with a standard advanced honors or adult diploma by August of 2006. Now, there was also, of course, as you know now, one of the benefits of No Child Left Behind is that we disaggregate data in order to be sure that no child is being left behind. And so we have disaggregated the 56% by ethnicity only this time. And you will see the same achievement gap that you see when the lever rate, the Nevada rate that is used, is disaggregated. Although the numbers, of course, are going to be more startling because the overall number is more startling. And that is the disaggregated Ed Collaborative National Governors Association cohort rate for 2006 by ethnicity in the school district. Mm-hmm.
So the 52%,
56%?
includes standard, advanced, and honors diplomas.
And adult.
And adult diplomas. It does not include fifth-year graduates.
No. Or adjusted diplomas.
Well, on the adjusted diplomas, I can understand that.
No, the fifth-year graduates. No, the Governors Association said, they did recommend, they said do a 4-year rate because that's the on-time rate. And they said, you know, the states ought to do a 5th-year rate too. And advocacy thought that was a good idea too.
Well,
So,
I think it is because
Jan
even
did.
in colleges now,
Yeah.
you know, 4 years isn't enough. And if we are increasing, as we should, some of the standards and requirements that for graduation, as we all know, time on task is important, and sometimes it takes some kids longer on some tasks than others, and
Right. And you'll see that in a minute. We did calculate the 5th-year rate also. But this is the 4-year rate.
okay, thanks.